Welcome, everyone. Do we have everyone here? Well, as more people are joining, we are so excited because this is something that I am so looking forward to. I have a special guest, and you all know if you've seen the announcements on Facebook and all social media. We want to welcome you, first of all, to Latin Heat's Hollywood Talks, where we talk to people in Hollywood that are making movies, television, or behind the scenes. I am your host, Belle Hernandez. And today's guest is a man who has been telling his story of how he was pivotal in the invention of Flaming Hot Cheetos. A man who grew up in Wasti, California, and as a young man worked in the fields alongside his family. He married his childhood sweetheart, Judy, and he found a job as a janitor at Frito-Lay, where he, while working, came up with an idea for a snack that he thought might appeal to his community. And he was right. And not only to his community, it appeals to people around the world, as it is one of the number one snacks around the world. And my little nephew loves it ever since he was 2 years old. So, I would like to also talk a little bit about the movie. If you've already seen the movie, you kind of know the story, but you don't know the whole story. And the story, by the way, the movie that was directed by Eva Longoria and produced by Devon Franklin is Flaming Hot. And it has been getting accolades. The audiences love it, not just here, but around the world as well. And it was the lead of Richard Montañez. The character was played by Jesse Garcia, and Judy Montañez was played by the wonderful Annie Gonzalez. And now it is my pleasure to welcome the man of the hour, Richard Montañez, to Latin Heat's Hollywood Talks. Welcome, Richard, to this wonderful interview, this live. I'm so happy to see you. It's been a while. Well, we were at the premiere together, right?
Yeah, it's exciting to be here. It's so great to see you. Always a pleasure to see you, Belle. Always.
Oh, well, wonderful. I Before we get into um, the meat of the interview, I just wanted to kind of ask you to kind of take us back where you got the idea of doing a movie, but before that, there wouldn't be a movie until you had the story. So tell us about the story. Tell us about um, how you got the idea to write a book, write your memoirs, and then take it and make this into a film. That was your vision.
Well, thank you for that. I started telling the story. Oh man, many years ago, before 2000. I was telling a story in the 90s, and the company was sending me around the country uh, to tell the story, uh, um, and people were saying you need to write a book, or that sounds like a movie. And it was years later. Uh, I think it was until 2013 I decided to write a book, and I wanted to write the book actually for my family. And never, thought I was going to be, big time author or anything like that. It was just, some history. Just because you can see that a lot of our history isn't being taught. Family history, it's just passed down from generation to generation, but we don't write it down. So I said, well, I'm going to write something down. And I wrote my book, A Boy Burrito and a Cookie, and then I found somebody to publish it, and then when it got published, it was crazy because the uh, the professional authors, the English majors, just tore it apart, and it was really disappointing. They said, "How did this book ever get published? The guy can't, his punctuations are wrong." And I said, well, I wasn't writing it, to win an English award. I was writing it for my family.
Yeah.
Um, but here's the amazing thing is that, as ridiculous as that book is, well, have to thank you and Enrique, because you were the first ones that interviewed me on the book, back in
Yes.
2013.
Yes, we had you on our talk show at that time. We were doing a talk show on CBS 2 KCAL 9 called Hola LA, and you came and you told your story about Flaming Hot, and you told the story, and then you had your book. So that's how long we've known each other, and that's how long I've known about your amazing story. But go on, just wanted to,
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad that we have that part because that's part of the process, as I, look at the whole process, I can go back.
Mhm.
And then Enrique wrote an article on my book.
Enrique, my husband, yes.
Yeah, in his article, he said this has the making of a movie. Well, that article, went viral, got passed around, and next thing you know, my book makes it to Hollywood. And I'm getting all these calls from producers actually across the country, not just Hollywood, but I'm also getting producers in coming from Broadway. People saw a play and they wanted to do something. I had producers talking to me about a television show, a reality show. So I had all these different options. So
They actually reached out to you first.
yes, they all reached
Oh my
out to
gosh.
me, and so it was really interesting. Then I had a friend who had a mutual friend who was a producer because and if you remember, I went to you and I asked you all kinds of questions, and you always said you got to be careful for this and that because even though I was a businessman, I was a rookie, in this, in the Hollywood. So a friend introduced me to a friend who was a producer, and that was Devon Franklin.
Mm,
And Devon Franklin at the time was employed by what it wasn't Fox, it was Sony. He was in charge. He was vice president of their uh, inspirational and faith-based movies, and
mhm.
but he left. So our interaction never, you know, got going. And so after about three attempts to meet, we finally met. And he started to read my book, and then he went on the internet and he saw, wow, you got 5 million views here. You got, and then he said, we're going to do this movie. And he met my wife Judy. So we started. He brought in a writer, Louis Kolick, who was the writer of. He had won some awards. So again, not knowing how the industry worked, we just went with it. And um,
Well, that's interesting because let me interrupt for a little bit because there are producers in Hollywood that have an idea for a story, and they can't get in to see the right people, and sometimes it takes them up to 10 or even sometimes 25 years to get a movie done. So what this tells me is that your movie and your story resonated not just with Devon, the producer that actually took the story to tell the movie of Flaming Hot, but other people were calling, and so that's quite an accomplishment. Your story is a rags to riches. Some people want to identify with it because they would wish they had that story, or they can see what a guy who works hard and does well. And it's always we're pulling for the underdog in this case, in the film industry. So
right.
congratulations, yeah.
And what I started to do before we even got to that process, back up a little bit, is I began to market the story the way I marketed hot Cheetos. I did some guerrilla marketing. I had so many meetings. I was just, meeting with people and telling them what I was thinking. So I was getting the buzz out there, door to door versus just trying to go straight to the top. Cause I'd been there before, you know,
Hmm.
calling these CEOs. It was like hot Cheetos all over again. I had the people that were hating on me. I had the people that loved it, so, we packaged it up. And then the other interesting part too was that when we went to meet with all the executives of all the movie companies, they all requested that me and Judy were in the meeting. They actually wanted to meet us. They wanted to know if the story was, if there really was a Richard and a Judy. So that was pretty cool. So we got to meet with the presidents, the CEOs of all the you name them. We went with them, and then the bidding process started, which was again I didn't expect that, but everybody made an offer.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I had the all the offers in front of me. I had an agent, had all the offers in front of me, and a little secret is that Netflix offered the most money. Uh, but I wasn't. The good thing about it is I already had my money. It really wasn't about the money; it was about getting the story right. So, and then I think this is probably something that most people don't want to hear is I turned down money to have more say so in the movie. Because when I got with Fox Searchlight, see my contract, I didn't sign a contract with Devon. I signed a contract with Fox Searchlight.
Oh,
Devon signed his contract with, I still had the freedom to go to any producer I wanted to, but I stayed with him
why was
because
Devon Franklin the right producer for this movie?
what's that?
Why was Devon Franklin the right producer for this movie?
Oh, because he had worked on one of my favorite movies, and that was The Pursuit of Happiness. So when he said this, he said, "This is the pursuit of happiness on steroids." So his excitement and his passion sold me. It wasn't like sometimes people say, "Well, I think we might be able to sell." He was like, "Oh man, this is going to be crazy, Richard. This is," he was very honest from the beginning. I think sometimes people don't want to get your hopes up. He wasn't one of them. He said, "No, we're gonna," and he proved it because he
And
said,
he was right. Yeah, because in the first 3 days of the film releasing, it became the most streamed film in the history of Searchlight. And also in the first week, Nielsen rated the movie as number 5 as the most streamed film on the week that it opened. And in the next week, it was second in the streaming charts. So I think that you made the right decision, and it was as Devon envisioned it. It was on steroids. I think it's been getting so much uh, streaming and so many accolades, and it's all around the world. You even posted something today. I think it was somebody in Saudi Arabia said it's going the movie is going bonkers here. Everybody loves it.
I saw that. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's why I'm saying that when it comes, your time to selling your movie, you want to you know maintain as much of the rights to how the movie's going to be produced and even the script.
Hmm.
We spent a lot of time with both script writers on, and we pushed back. No, that's not right. It's not right. And the other thing that I wanted a Latina director. That's why again, we didn't sign with the other one because they were like, just give us the rights. We're going to do it. But Fox said no. We'll keep you involved. And I said it's got to be a Latino
Wow.
director, and it's got to be. I got to have actors from L.A.
And
I got to
were
have
you
Emilio Rivera play my dad. I just got to have that.
And
So
were you pleased when Eva came on board? Tell us that story about how Eva came on board as a director.
well, yeah. I mean, we were shocked. First of all, we were shocked, and you know, um, studio executive said we've got our director, and I said, "Who's that?" I said, "Eva." I said, "Eva. I've always seen her as an activist and a great actress, but never as a director." And they said, "Well, you got to see her presentation." So the studio set up a meeting with Eva and Devon, me and Judy, and she presented to us. And Belle, that presentation she gave is one of the best I've ever seen in my entire.
Better than yours when you pitched Flaming Hot Cheetos?
Yeah, it was just incredible because I've been at the top with CMOs, CEOs, and I know what top presentations. And she came as though she was a CEO, a CMO. She just knew business. It wasn't even about acting. She had a vision. She saw it from start to finish. And the exciting thing about it, it was the same vision that me and Judy had. So we were like, man, sign her up as soon as you can. And it gave me, she's such a wonderful person that um, if there was something that I didn't like, she was a phone call away, and she always answered within minutes. So we had a good working relationship. Getting to this point, she checked with us on everything. She made sure she was we want to make sure that you and Judy are happy. And I was like, wow,
Mhm.
I don't know if that's typical, okay? Because
No, I
again,
don't think that's very typical. It's
you know,
extraordinary.
and then
Yeah.
she brought in Linda, and
Linda was the second writer that came
yes,
on board
Linda
to the.
Chavez. Yeah, when she brought in Linda Chavez, and then it was like, okay, she's bringing it home now. It was, we started to see the script, like, oh, okay, and I realize now, I think that Annie and Jesse are great actors. But I believe now that when you have a great script, makes you a great actor. Yeah, I never knew that. Again, I'm learning, right? Because I'm on the inside now. I was
Yeah.
always on the outside, and I, read the script and saw how, like, good scripts will make great actors, and vice versa. Works both ways. But Linda just nailed it, with the
And
words.
also, I wanted to point out that when Annie first met Judy, the person that she was going to play, which was at your home where you had a barbecue. And I just heard Annie talking on another podcast and talking about how she was apprehensive at meeting Judy, and it was vice versa. Can you talk a little bit about Judy's uh, role and how she went along with having her life on the screen?
Yeah, that was, I had to really be careful there because Judy has always been in the background, so to speak. She's stayed busy running our foundation, and she's big on community, and she has a servant's heart. She does not like the limelight whatsoever. And the other thing is, she never talks about our past. And she's like, man, I don't know about this, Richard. I don't want, and but Annie, it worked out great because Annie had told her, your past is an inspiration to a lot of people. Look at where you're at now. You're my aunt, you're my mom, you're my cousin, and that just made her feel so good. And
I
then
know
when,
you told me that she was afraid to let people know that she used to be a chola.
right, right, that wasn't, because she's so far from that.
Yeah.
But the truth is, she was gangster. I mean, that part that Annie played, that is so true. And I think that's what always attracted me to her is her toughness. She's sweet, stuff like that. But when she needed to be tough, there's no question about it that she was from the barrio. So, and that's how she helped keep me straight. So we were a
And
great team. But Annie did convince her like it's going to be great. And then when she saw um, the first, clip of it, she was really happy that Annie just nailed. Annie said, I don't know how she did, but Annie said some things that only Judy could have said to me. Even like that part when they're in the stolen car, and she goes, I swear to God, Rich, if I'm in a stolen car and she hit me, that's how Judy used to talk to me. And she's the only one that would call me Rich. Everybody called me Richard or Ricardo, but she'd always say Rich. So, and she was happy when I showed her who Annie was, on her the show that she was on Netflix.
Huntified.
Yeah, Gentrified, and she saw her. I showed her a couple of episodes, and I go, look how Annie's playing because Annie was tough in that show too.
Yes.
So
But I remember when we first met, you invited me to a giveaway that your foundation that you just
oh, that's
mentioned
right, yeah,
does. Every year you would do backpacks for going back to school, and you had all of these hundreds of children there picking up their backpacks, and that, like you say, Judy is the head of the foundation, so that's the kind of work that your foundation does, is you help people in need.
yeah. That's when we got to a certain point financially, we decided we wanted to give back, and that's what we've been doing that over 20 years, and we've given hundreds and hundreds of thousands of backpacks, brand new shoes. We fed millions of peoples across the country, some places across the world. But it's just been our way of giving back, and I'm glad you remember that. That that was in Pomona, the city of Pomona.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many things. I mean, I know your story. You told me your story back in the day when we first met, which I think was 2011. I was looking through some paperwork, and it's just amazing how time flies, first of all, because it just seems like yesterday. And that you told me that, you were shopping the story around, and that and then you would tell me, oh, okay, we got somebody. So I was kind of like been kept abreast that, the advancement of the movie being made. And it's an amazing story that really makes Chicanos proud, because you are a self-proclaimed Chicano, and we to see someone have the gutspa that you did to go ahead and do and go with your idea of making a snack that appealed to your community. Why was your community so important to you at that time?
You know, that's a great question, and thank you for asking that because um, that question is everything about me. It goes back to my childhood. It goes back to the movie. Is that you know the story of being Chicano? The way almost always says, hey, we're not Mexican enough for the Mexicans. We're not
Yeah,
American enough. That's so. Well, I grew up in that. I, Chicano era. In the late '60s, early '70s, and I saw that. I'm dark skinned, and I saw how man, dark people really get treated pretty bad. As a little boy, I just remember walking into the store, to Sears. That's all we had, right? Sears or J.C.
yeah.
Penney's, and they'd grab me and say, where's your mom at, and things like that. And I was like, wow, this is gonna be like this for the rest of my life. I haven't even done anything. And then I decided, of course, we were struggling. Frito Lay was struggling, but one of the main parts was I thought this is the truth, Bell. If I can get it out right, I thought if I could create a product that reflects my community, maybe the world will taste it and see that my community is good. So my, being Chicano was behind Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and it worked. They're gonna see that Latinos are passionate, they're beautiful people. Because if you look at our food, our food is, some of the best in the world. So that
Oh,
was the
yes.
truth behind it. I wanted, people won't like this, but the truth is, I've outgrown this, but I wanted to be accepted. You
I
know, uh,
think that's part of a lot of our bringing up, and even to this day, it's deep inside of us that we do things because we want to be accepted, and sometimes people get over it, and sometimes we never do, in the little things that we do, and it's a truth, that. Thank you for saying it, because I think that that's a feeling that a lot of us have.
yeah, and my first book brought it out. The product. I created many other products after Hot Cheetos. And it worked. And again, I was thinking about my own children. Then I became a grandparent. I was thinking about my grandchildren. Like, wow, I don't want them to go through, what we went through in the '70s. When Chicanos were being bashed left and right, or sent off to Vietnam, and things like that. So
You know,
I believe.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead
I
and
just believe that that goal became a reality. Where people tasted it and said, "Wow!" Then when they found out that a Latino made it, people were just so happy. I said, "Okay, we did it. We're bringing joy to That's all it was. It's just can you accept us as who we are?"
and that now that you say that, it's like people were very happy, and I think the majority of people are very happy to know that it was a Latino, a Chicano, who had this idea and who saw it through. But there are some people that don't feel that a Chicano would be able to do this, but you've disproved that, and even so, some people are doubtful of that and of your story. But we have the clip that you shared on social media, where the story, for anybody who has not seen the movie, you should go and stream it now at Hulu and Disney Plus. But Richard called it was the chairman of Frito Lay at that time. Was it Frito Lay or PepsiCo at that time?
Frito Lay.
Frito Lay. And a janitor calls to say, I want to talk to the chairman of Frito-Lay, and the secretary puts the call through. Now, people say that that's crazy, that it never happened. And Polly is going to show us the clip, because you actually did. No, that's no the clip, Polly. The clip of the video clip, that's where the secretary went to one of the screenings, and she actually confirmed that in fact it was Richard Gunn.
She was here. This is the real Patty. Come on up.
Oh my God. Let me tell you guys something. This is the one, Patty, come here. People don't believe in the movie. They go, oh, okay, like the secretary passed the call through. Tell them, Patty, what happened. Give you a mic. People think we made this up, like, oh, okay, he called the CEO and she patched him through. What happened, Patty?
Everything that is in that movie is true. Richard called with confidence, but humility. Forceful, but respectful.
Yes.
Knew what he wanted, and it was just something you could really just feel.
And what made you pass the call through?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I just knew that for somebody to have the courage, and Roger had come up with this plan, the power of one, and he wanted to empower the people in the company, and he gave everybody a share of stock. He donated his salary. He took $1 a year and took his salary for scholarships for the children of frontline employees. And he really wanted the people to feel invested. But for a janitor to call the CEO's office was really, really brave. And it was just, I don't know, it was a God thing, I think. I just felt that
a miracle.
Roger should take that call.
Yeah. Good for you. Hi, I'm gonna try, but no, let me tell you. Okay, continue, Patty. But I want to talk to you about. We should answer a couple more questions. Do we have to get out of here? We have to get out of here?
That I really wanted to show that, because it's true. A Chicano did this, and it's okay. We are doing so many amazing things all over the world. One of the astronauts is a young Mexicana. Diana Flores is the flag football queen. So it's okay. We to say, Mexicans, Chicanos, we are doing all these wonderful things, and it's true. It's all true. So I am so glad that Patty decided to speak up, and like that, we also have article. Well, when I posted your story on Facebook, we actually had Mike Fuller, who said, oh no, before that, yeah, Mike Fuller, can you put that up, Polly? Who said that he knew you. I don't know if you even remember him, but
I
he's
remember Mike. Mike was a gentleman.
yeah. And if you notice there, he says, I was there. I was there when Enrico came. So I don't know where, this was there on Facebook. And there was another woman, her name was Leah Box, and she also knew you as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. This is Patty's email that actually she sent to the press, because she wanted to let people know that, yes, she took the call, that yes, everything in the movie is in fact true. So it's hard to believe, but like they say, it's believe it or not, it's true. But let's move forward now. I really want to find out the making of the movie, like how. I mean, this is your first movie, and like you said, you really wanted Emilio to play your dad, and then you have Judy, and then all the other characters. What was it like for you to be on the set and see your film coming to fruition. What were your thoughts when you were there on set?
It was exciting. It was you can't even explain the feelings that me and my family had, but you know, I was just saying to myself, I did it. Because if you remember, I used to go to you for everything, and I told you this is crazy, but I think sometimes that's what Latinos, Chicanos, Mexicans we do is we do crazy things, but they become reality. But I remember I told you I'm going to produce movies, and I started telling everybody I was a producer, and I started getting scripts, and we were going to start funding some things, and but I had put a few million away for my first movie, so the scripts I was reading, nothing really stood out because I had one shot. I didn't have enough money to make a bunch of movies that didn't work. I needed one shot, so I never thought that my first movie would be my own story. It wasn't, that was never the intention. That we just kind of walked in. Again, we're talking about the process. So, uh, and Fox and Devon and again, Eva treated us with such respect. Eva is a very respectful person.
Mhm.
And she took care of the little details for our family, to fly in whoever we wanted to bring in. And Judy said, I want my grandkids in. And she said, consider it done. So all my grandkids, the ones that wanted to be in it are, they have cameos in it. But as far as the flight arrangements, the hotels, everything, Eva is first class. I got to say that. She took care of everything, made sure. And then she checked with us. Is everything okay? Like, wow, you're already busy. You don't have to worry about us, and
She did all that, and she directed an amazing movie that has it all. It's got all the feels there. You are inspired, and you cry, and you cheer. And so you saw a lot of that when you went on the screenings. Um, what was the feeling to see your life there and to see the reaction of the audience?
it was there was some scenes where uh me and Judy just looked at each other and we started crying
Oh,
because we were 17 again. I was like, wow, that really happened. There's nothing there that's made up. It really happened, and I never thought that it would be shown in an inspirational way, because we did some bad things. And of course, we're sorry for them, but a couple of times we just sat there and just cried, and looking at Jesse is like, he's acting like me when I was a kid. Like, how did they do that? And then Annie, I mean, you couldn't separate those two. They were just like, she nailed Judy down to, nobody knows that but me.
yeah,
Nobody
because
knows.
you knew Judy then, and yeah.
Yeah. Or her two oldest boys kind of remember the little roughness in her. So they're like, yeah, that's my mom. And they know that, they've seen the pictures. So, and then to see Eva directing it um, was again uh, just a total blessing because she commanded everybody there um, without being a dictator, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's just
And
like she brought everybody together. She inspired everybody, and everybody listened to her. It was like, we're gonna do it again, and nobody. I didn't never saw anybody upset.
and
Everybody
she
really
gave these two actors leading roles that they could really do something with, because a lot of times Latino actors get the smaller roles, and there's so much you could do. But when you have a full-fledged uh, role, you could really show your chops and show your skills. And they did an amazing job. That now they're getting more and more roles. And these are the opportunities that only Eva, who understands how hard it is for Latino actors, could have appreciated. And of course, the actors appreciate what was done, because of this movie and because of the roles that they were given. And Eva is very, very generous in that, but she's also so smart and so giving. And I think that this movie is a gift to our community. and I it went to the White House. What other, you're in there with just a select few other Latino movies that have gone to the White House. It gave the movie a worldwide platform, and like they said, they're loving it in Saudi Arabia and in Mexico and wherever it's showing. So congratulations for that. I am so proud and so happy that the movie got made and it was a hit. Linda is an amazing writer as well as Lewis, but some of those scenes, like the ones in the boardroom, if you guys haven't seen it, we won't give it away because it's really a funny little part of the movie, which is interesting because the movie is like, it's very serious and then it breaks out into these funny moments that, whose idea was that? Do you know? Because that was genius.
That was Linda's. We spent a lot of time, in person and also, on the phone. Is sometimes every day, and she'd asking questions and tremendous listener. I just, there's so many details in there that I was like, "Man, I don't remember telling her that." But apparently she wrote it down and turned it into a scene, So she's an incredible person, and I know that we're going to see a lot more from her, And then,
Yeah.
going back to Jesse and Annie, that's the other thing that that we had wanted is to be respectful. We didn't want any big names. I didn't want any big names in my movie, um, because we wanted to give somebody a chance of making a big name for themselves. That's
Mhm.
exactly what Jesse and Annie did. I mean, they give a lot of credit to the story, but they won that part. There was a lot of people that came out and auditioned for it, but they won it because they're great actors, and now they've made a name for themselves, and
And they
that
went to the White House. They
yeah,
went to the White House with the movie. Yeah.
yeah, and that's exciting too. That our movie is historic, and I look at my life, and I humbly say this: everything that I've always done has been historic. There isn't anything in my life that I mean, whether I'm teaching at Harvard or Notre Dame or USC, UCLA, or visit. I've had many meetings with several different presidents at the White House, and I've been offered positions on government boards on President Obama had sent word that he wanted me on a certain team, and and of course I turned him down because it just wasn't my my expertise, not something I wanted to get into. But again, our life has been very historic. And if you look at the average, Latino, everything they've done has been historic. If you look at our parents who came across, that's historic, and that's a story, and that could be a movie in itself.
Yes.
And I think that
There's
we're
so
going to
many
get to that
movies.
point.
There's so many movies that could be, and that brings us back to you and your original idea of producing. So, like you just said, there's so many stories. What is in store for you as far as production? Do you have? Are you going to keep producing? Do you have any projects that you're looking at, and what kind of projects are you looking for?
Yeah, we're looking at a few projects right now. First of all, I got some personal projects on mine. We're working with a company right now on doing a documentary on my life, which is would be pretty cool. And and then there's a company that we talked to who wants to turn this into a Broadway play. And
Okay.
then there's some talk about a sequel. Because the truth is everything starts after Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and you know that story because I've shared with you some of the things. So it doesn't end there. And then, but yeah, we're looking at different scripts that we want to produce and take out there. And we're looking for stories like this, real life stories that maybe it already in print in a book and things like that. Because I think the opportunity is now that so many people are open to seeing it. And then we know that you know for a while there we were always talking about we're making movies for ourselves. I think this is taking us beyond that now. We're going to make movies for everybody. We're going to make movies for the world that the world can enjoy. That finally the world can enjoy the life of the Chicano, because it's just like, it doesn't matter what color you are. We've all gone through hardship. We've all
Well,
faced discrimination.
it, the film is perfect proof of that. Chicanos, the story of a Chicano appeals to the world. I mean, they're loving it. And you know, before, because I've been in this business for a long time, and in the industry before, I felt that when people said Mexican or Chicano, everyone else would just cringe. And we're at the stage now where we can say it and we can be proud of who we are and what we've done, and that films like this, and George Lopez, who made Mexican like a household word in Hollywood, because before that it was always like a bad word to me, I felt.
Right. Yeah.
So stories like yours and stories like the ones that Gloria Calderon Kellett is doing, and all of the creators that are creating stories about Latinos authentically, you know, it's about time that we have our stories told. And I think that everybody's embracing those stories, because we always knew our stories are universal stories. It just happens to be about this community. And Flaming Hot Cheetos, Flaming Hot has proven that. So I wanted to open it up for a couple of questions in case anybody is here that would like to ask a few questions. I'm sure we can. Okay, so here it is. Bossler baby, for sure. I love Richard. I heard about his story back in 2013 when Edub interviewed him on Pocos Pero Locos. He's the people's champ. I mean, a lot of people feel that way about you. I'm sure you don't. You do so many interviews. Do you remember that one?
Well, you know what? This is one of my girls here. She's a great singer, great rap artist. She's we've been friends for many years. She knows the hood, So I've tapped into her energy. But yeah, I remember that when E Dub had called me, and I went into the studios and we did an interview, uh, and that again, part of the process, get the story out any way you can. You got to work it first. You know,
Yes. By the way, give us some advice about marketing, because after the whole invention, you were put as the head of multicultural marketing. So give us a tip about marketing, so that for someone, a filmmaker that's looking at this and say, what do I do? How do I get my movie out there with no money?
well, marketing is actually a science. People think it's about this and that, but it is a science. So you have to approach it that way. But for somebody that's just starting out and wanting to get their story out there, it's going to be guerrilla marketing. The money doesn't come in till after the home run. So you're not going to get money to hit a home run. You got to hit a home run first, then the money comes. So the best way to do that is through guerrilla marketing. Is getting your story out there, doing as many interviews as you possibly can, and before you know it, the right people will hear it. And I've said this in some of my presentations, that I've learned this, that I'm not trying to influence everyone, only the right ones. And what I mean by that is, you were one of the right ones. I was able to influence you, to be friends. Patty was one of the right ones. I was able to influence her to put the call through. So don't worry about trying to influence everyone, just the right ones, the ones that are going to help you, and, time is so precious that, starting out, you don't have time to try to convince everyone. Look for the ones that can help, the ones that, can really, make a difference in those. And again, a lot of times they're not who you think they are. For me, it was the executive assistant. Who would ever think that, Patty would be the one to put the phone call through? But, I knew it. And, it was such a sweet surprise when you had that video, because that was a surprise for me. We've been friends for many years, and she was frustrated, and, she communicated to me that was wrong what everybody was saying about me. And then I invited her to the showing in San Francisco, and how she went up on stage.
Yes, I love it. She just like
That's her. That's her. You're not going to stop her. You're not. She's going to find So it was so funny when I looked. I go, man, that's typical Patty. You're not going to stop her. She's getting on that stage. And I
You
think
know,
that,
she said she described Enrico as a very giving person because we just think of Enrico as like, oh, he was the chairman and like stuffy. But tell us a little bit about his personality and why you think he paid attention to Patty and then to you.
well, Patty had said he had started this program called Empowerment and the Power of One, and he gave up. He was making about $1 million a year, and he gave that up and took $1, and
Wow.
he put that money back into people like me for scholarships for our children. Um, but I think Patty told him, "Here's that idea you've been looking for." Because I found out later he needed me as much as I needed him.
Mm,
Because he was going around telling empowerment, well, here's this opportunity. Are you telling the truth, Mr. CEO? Are you here's the janitor calling you up with an idea? Let's see. He ran with that. I mean, he was teaching that at universities. He would, I mean, he was telling everybody. He was telling the story in Fortune magazine about how he met me and he became my mentor. I was, visiting him in New York, many times a year, and we just sit there and talk, but I think that's what I'm saying is that, when you find the right people that belong in your life, they need you as much as you need them. So, you can't just go out and try to sell your story to everybody. It's got to be the right ones,
mhm.
and you'll figure that out. People will figure that out who they are. If somebody says like, move on, don't take it personal. Don't
But
take it.
also, you knew him, but you also knew the other chairmen of PepsiCo after
Perry.
he left,
Yeah.
right?
I've been friends with every PepsiCo chairman since since the very first one, because before Flamin' Hot Cheetos, that the movie really doesn't tell. I had saved the company millions of dollars in cost saving, because if in the movie it shows me with a notepad and writing. Well, that's true. I would get these ideas on the floor, and then I would take them home to Judy, and Judy would write them up for me in a presentation. Then I'd take them to the boss, and
Ah,
he was just so fascinated. Like, how did you do this? And I was like, oh, I've been working hard. And but that's what got me a lot of attention. Is I had saved several hundred millions of dollars, and then when I did become a machinist, I saved even more millions of dollars by correcting some of the machines that went nationwide. And then I became, when I was still in operations, before I even went into marketing, I became the trainer. So I rewrote a lot of the training manuals for Frito Lay. Now, again, all these people that were doing this prior to me were engineers, were college graduates. I didn't have any of that. But that's what I'm saying. The things that we learned from our parents as Chicanos and Mexicans, that all of a sudden they're like, wow, we really are a brilliant society. We really are brilliant for, everything my dad taught me was coming back. But
it's
that's
it's it seems like there's been so much negative talk that there came a point where we started to believe it, but now we're being enlightened by
yeah,
going to college, by learning about our culture, by watching inspirational movies, by seeing all of Latinos and what we're contributing to this country. So,
right.
oh, and here's another one, Moises Moises Gonzalez. Hey, Richard, please make extra lemon hot Cheetos. Is that a thing? Is that
Now
coming?
they're
People
asking us
ask,
to make it hotter, man. It's already hot.
yes, it's already hot. But there are some with lemon, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then Rachel Carmona, as a granddaughter and daughter of Chicano business owners, so many untold stories. Totally agree with me. Yes, there's so many guys. Write them, make them, and take some to Richard. Maybe he wants to fund you. And Frank Montes, a friend of ours, says, I want a part in your next movie.
He's got it.
Okay, Frank. And then we have Myra Chavez. How does your family feel about the success of Flaming Hot, like your kids, your grandchildren?
They're happy with the movie and the hot Cheetos, but what's really interesting, they don't tell anybody. They don't go. They're not. They're very humble. They're very good kids. They
Oh,
don't say, "Well, my grandpa created Hot Cheetos. They don't do any of that, but they're proud. They're very
Yes.
proud. They love. We were out to dinner yesterday, and we were just talking about it. They love the way the movie came out, so they're very, very proud. But they're also humble.
Wow. It's a legacy to you. And Andrew Velasquez, from one Chicano to another, I'm proud of the Latino excellence, hermanos. For sure. For
Thank
sure,
you.
Andrew. Yes. Well, Richard, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you here forever. And I'm sure that all the audience appreciates and will appreciate it when they see it, re-see it, and the people that didn't come on are going to watch it afterwards. But thank you so much for, giving us a little bit of insight into how your trajectory was, both at Frito-Lay and also making this movie, which you gave a lot of little gems there. So thank you for that. I'm sure you're inspiring other people as you are inspiring me. So I want to just thank you, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. And
Sure.
looking forward to your next movie. And
You got-
also, I want to thank Paulie from the Latino Slant. He's helping us put this live together. And Paulie, Latino Slant, make sure you go and watch him. He's on YouTube. And give us where they can follow you, Richard.
Well, I mean, thank you. This has been great. It's always, like I said, it's always a pleasure to see you. I always say you're my Hollywood godmother. So thank you.
And tell us where everybody can follow you, because you already have 107,000 followers.
Well, you can go to my Instagram is Hot Cheetos RPM. I don't know what it is on Facebook, but I think it's the same on Facebook.
Oh, yes. So tell us a little bit before we go about Becky G's music video. We saw all the cast on social media where they were like, I knew they had just filmed it, and that song is so good. So did you get a chance to see the video yet?
No, Eva directed that too, and she had all the cast out there, and it was pretty cool. The same people that worked on the movie, behind the cameras, were also the same ones. So I know she was a blessing to them. And Becky G is, man, wonderful, wonderful, talented young lady that I think when you see the video, you're going to love it. I think it's pretty cool. So I'm in it. Judy's in it. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
That'll be fun. That will be so much fun. I can't wait to see it. Anyway, muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Please say hi to Judy for me,
I'll
and
do that.
your sons as well, Michael and Stephen. And what's the name of your other son?
Lucky.
Yeah, Lucky. Okay. Gracias. Thank you everyone for watching Hollywood Talks on Latin Heat. Please follow Latin Heat. Please go to our website and subscribe, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.